That's not a mental image I wanted, by the way. I said it, and I immediately regret it. Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. Hello, and welcome to another Booze, Booze, and Barbecue. This is Andy. Taking second chair is my favorite cousin, Coyson Masterson. How are you doing?
Doing great, Andy. How about yourself?
Doing really well, especially since you brought out some of these beers. Rogue Hazelnut Brown Nectar. I love this beer.
It is honestly one of my favorite darker beers. In Oregon, we're just overrun with these hazelnut orchards, and I love hazelnut, and I'm just going to keep powering through everything flavored hazelnut or pumpkin spice. And as far as I'm aware, Rogue doesn't make anything pumpkin spice, so I'm going with the hazelnut brown nectar.
If they could make a pumpkin spiced hazelnut brown nectar, you would be in second heaven.
I think at that moment I'd just die.
You'd reach the peak.
Yeah,
that was the pinnacle.
It's only going to be downhill from there. So if I didn't die of just naturally realizing that I'd reached the top, I'd just finish it myself.
We got to find a way to pumpkin spice this. I'll grant you, I think that would actually taste pretty good. So one of my favorite things to do with the hazelnut brown nectar is to go half hazelnut and half of the double chocolate stout, their imperial chocolate stout. It makes this combination of a beer that is out of this world. It's so good.
I can see how that would be pretty good. I really enjoy drinking this because I don't normally drink dark beers, so I look really tough and cool when I'm drinking this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like everybody thinks I'm one of those Oregonians that love their micro brews, even though I really mostly don't.
And especially not IPAs.
Oh, I don't understand. I could not wrap my head around why someone would willingly drink IPAs.
They have gotten better, though. You have to admit that.
Well, they couldn't get worse.
Fair enough.
Like I've had some where I'm like, this doesn't taste like it's directly from a urinal, so it's like, I will say they've gotten better, but they're still horrible.
And I don't know if you ever had this happen when you were a kid. I feel like I did this to you when we were kids, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. Have you ever seen where someone picks a dandelion, right? And they wait for someone to open their mouth, like to speak or to yawn, and then they just stick it right in their mouth?
It's a power move.
It is.
Several times.
That's what I'm talking about. If you've ever had it done to you, that's what a lot of IPAs taste like.
My problem with IPAs is, so you go down to the tap house or some kind of microbrew place, and they've got 30 on tap there, and you're looking through the list, and you're like, ooh, lemon squeezy, that sounds good. And then you realize it says lemon squeezy IPA, and you're like, Gah, I know that's going to taste bad now. And you're going through the list. And finally you hit on something that sounds cool and then says cider. And you're like, oh, we can't go wrong with a cider. So you end up getting that. But out of the 30, 23 of them are IPAs. And then they'll have, 23 IPAs, 4 dark beers, and then 3 ciders. And it's like, do you really sell that much of the bad tasting beer?
I had a real dilemma here a couple of weeks ago when I talked to Dakota Snow of Toyota Corvallis. He is an IPA fan. And again, this is not an indictment of him. I want to let everybody know, like, the things that we're saying about IPAs now, that is not a reflection of him as a person. Just a little disclaimer. Anyways, so I go into the tap house and I'm going to get him a growler and, a little gift like, hey, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate you doing it. Here's a growler of beer that you like. And I tasted, 6 IPAs. They all just were like hot garbage and Nan's ashes from the urn in my mouth. I finally landed on an Imperial IPA. It's the Crux Half Hitch. And that one was tolerable because it had plenty of other complex malt character and things to kind of overcome the floral note of the IPA.
I honestly cannot think of one single IPA that I've enjoyed. Like, just off the top of my head, I can't think of one where I drank it and was like, oh, that was delicious.
Well, no, nobody can. I think IPAs are kind of like an Oregon
hipster thing.
Hipster rite of passage.
Oh, you have to like it to be a hipster type thing. Like, that's the entry level.
Yes. If you don't like IPAs, then you really can't hang out with those people. That's why there's groups that are dedicated to IPAs, where all they do is just taste different IPAs. The irony there is that once you get 2 IPAs in, you can't taste what any of the others taste like.
Yeah. Well, you'll taste what they taste like. Just, they still taste bad, just more tolerable.
I would agree with that. there's something that happens where like the hop oil just kind of coats your mouth and that's all you taste. It's like whenever I see the IPAs where the IBUs are over 100, because technically 100 is supposed to be the most bitter beer on the planet, right? So if I see something that's 100 IBU, it's undoubtedly going to be bitter, but you never really know exactly how bitter it's going to be. It's kind of like going into those authentic Thai food restaurants, and when you get the number 5 on the 1 to 5 heat scale, it could be comfortable, tolerable, it's hot, but I like it kind of hot, or it could be melt your face off, severe gut rot. Can't even eat this. Bring me another order of pad thai so that I can mix it in just to dumb this thing down enough to where I can at least get it past my lips without gagging. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like that person that gets a tattoo and you know they're like a world-class wuss and they're like, oh, I think I'm going to get another one. I kind of liked the pain. And you're like, no, I've worked with you for X amount of years. You don't like moving. Like there's no way you like pain.
Exactly. So, along those same lines, when you get over 100 IBU, it's exactly what you're talking about. Like, all they're trying to do is convey to you, hey, this is the most bitter thing you have ever tasted. I am essentially passing you a glass full of bitter, and you're just going to suck it down, and you're going to smile and say, I like it. I want more.
I really should do some experimenting. I feel like IPAs might be good if you mix it like half with like lemonade or something. A little bitter, and then some sweet lemonade, you know, but like real lemonade, not box lemonade. I can see how the bitter and the sweet could go good, or grapefruit juice, or
so you know what's
something
funny?
like that.
I've tried that before, and no, it doesn't. It still tastes awful.
It still tastes bad, and you took all the alcohol content out of it, so what's the point at that point?
Oh, don't even drink it. Just like, here's the proper way to drink a super hoppy IPA. You pop the lid off, and then you just pour it down the toilet.
Well, you saved me from wasting some good fruit juice, I guess.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. You saved me $4.50 just now.
Throw a little vodka in that and enjoy yourself. Like, don't even bother trying to water down your IPA with that stuff. Anyways, people know that we're off on a little jag. I don't actually hate all IPAs, just, 98% of them.
I hate all of them. I stick to my original comment. Change my mind.
I'm going to make you a meme. I'm going to superimpose your head on Steven Crowder, and it's going to say,
all IPAs suck. Change my mind. Suck.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
I should make a shirt. IPAs suck. I'd probably get in real fights here in Oregon over that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I might get attacked. By a bunch of like lumberjack-esque looking girl men, but still.
You know what they call that? They call that lumber sexual.
I don't. Yeah.
It took you a second.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to use that later on someone. I have people in mind.
Oh, I know you know people. This is Oregon. We all know people.
They'd probably kick me in the head, but the skinny jeans, there's no way their foot's getting that high, so.
If skinny jeans started bringing about the spandex, or what was that poly cotton blend that Chuck Norris always used to use, the action jeans,
action shorts.
Yes, dude, the action jorts. Ugh, amazing! I need some of those now.
I'm almost positive Chuck Norris had some action shorts, like short jean cutoff that were like sold for real.
Well, dude, it was the 80s. I mean, everybody had those.
Yeah, I guess so. And you can't really talk bad about anything Chuck Norris does, because just by him doing it makes it good. Like if I had a set of short cut-off jeans that were like well above the knee, but they had like a leather patch on the back pocket that said Chuck Norris action shorts, I'd wear them.
Oh, I know you would.
And when people would be like, what are you wearing? I'd be like, these are Chuck Norris action shorts. They'd be like, oh, okay. Like they'd all understand.
I'm pretty sure people would turn their head and be like, oh, I got to get me some of those.
Yeah. No, I couldn't wear them to work, but I'd try.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, do you want me wearing action shorts? You want to get stuff done? Or you want me to wear these FR rated Carhartts? Like they're like 12 pounds each. Super heavy.
The most productive koi on the planet.
Yeah.
Shirtless, but just with one of those safety vests, a hard hat, his action jeans, and ostrich skin boots.
Ostrich skin boots?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel like
that's not a mental image I wanted, by the way. I said it and I immediately regret it.
It's not the mental image you wanted, but it was the mental image you needed.
It might have been the mental image I deserved. I don't know.
I would wear them racing for sure. Like, I've paid a lot of money to get a hood that weighed 2 pounds less. I don't know how much less Chuck Norris action shorts would weigh less than regular pants, but significant. Yeah, we should get on Amazon. I bet they're on there.
I bet you're right.
I don't know if they make them in a 42 waist, but it's worth a try.
I saw a beekeeper suit on Amazon the other day in a 2X size, like my size, for $18. I don't think it'd keep any bees out, but it'd make an awesome Halloween costume.
So when is it arriving?
Tuesday.
Okay, that's yeah. I would wear that probably to work as well.
I bought it on Prime, but it's coming from China, so you know how it is.
Yeah.
E-packet.
I got a drone ship it over. Heavy winds, probably a typhoon.
Hang on a second. You said the magic word here, drones. Now you got to tell me about how your weekend in Christmas Valley went, buddy.
It was a great weekend. It's a long drive from where we're at, about 5 hours into the heart of the high desert. And it is dusty and windy over there. And if you like to stay clean, then don't go there. But great time. Love the desert over there.
It almost sounds like the Oregon Burning Man, like an overland man.
It's getting that way a little bit. We had ourselves a nice bonfire and did a lot of night runs, and there was some drunken camaraderie, I guess. Shenanigans, yeah. Yeah, there was fires and things. We had a great time. I set up a GPS course, took the better part of a day. I shouldn't say another guy was doing it, and I helped him. And it turned out nobody wanted to do GPS courses because they're overlanders in quotation, so I don't know. I guess they don't like GPS. I'm not sure. But I enjoyed myself setting it up and then taking it down.
The Gambler 500 guys, they recently had one of their smaller, just local events.
Yeah.
And it was a full-on GPS course. Like, they gave out GPS coordinates the day before and said, look for these 2 cars. And that was it. And I feel like...
Did anybody find them?
Yeah, I've been seeing photos of it. It looked like it was an awesome time. Probably you're going to find some photos in the Gambler 500 group, but it might just be the Gambler 500 Oregon group.
Oh, was that the Southern Oregon one that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think it was in Southern Oregon.
Yeah, I saw him put out the GPS coordinates for the start point or whatever, but I didn't see anything else on it. I hadn't read up or looked at any pictures on how that went. The dunes area there is pretty good sized. The one end has like massive dunes, kind of what you'd see, kind of Sahara-esque looking. Obviously not that massive, but they're large and some big bowls. And then as you work farther east, it gets more and more smaller dunes and sagebrush, and then kind of little pockets of dunes in the sagebrush. And we just kind of made a big loop of the whole thing and put them in some more challenging spots to get to.
Well, I'm really jealous. I wish I could have come along. It was just a little bit too short a notice for my job, and I'm working some stupid hours right now, but it looked awesome. The photos looked absolutely incredible. Of course, you guys will be able to go and find those on boostboostbarbecue.com, on the Facebook page, and Overlandia Podcast is the handle on Instagram. Lots of photos up there. Make sure you're going and checking that out.
Yeah, we'll put some photos up there. We never actually made it out to the airplane crash there in Christmas Valley. There was a group run that went out there. I think Metal Tech led the group to the older jet fighter, an Intruder. I don't remember the number badge, but it's an old Intruder jet plane that wrecked out of there, I think 64 or something like that, quite a while ago. But, I mean, over there, you can park a car for 100 years and they don't rust or anything. There's no rain. It's dry. And so the whole tail section's kind of piled into the ground, and then it's scattered for, I don't know, a mile or so, and then the front half of it's at the other end of this mark in the ground.
That's pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah, it was some kind of night training mission, and people died and things, and there's a little memorial out there, but it's just in the middle of nowhere, dirt road. We went to go there, but there was like 20 people going out there, and the dust there is just so overwhelming. I can't explain the kind of dust that's on the dirt roads there. I actually hit a pocket of dust in the road. I don't know if you ever hit a big puddle, and it comes up over and splashes onto your truck.
They call it silt.
Yeah, it did that to my truck, but then just like you couldn't see, like this big wave of dirt just boom, and it's just like talc powder. So then I kind of question mark windshield wipers, like, oh, okay, guess that worked. And I was following like 3 people, and it was almost, you couldn't see through it. So the group of 20, I can't even imagine what that was like. So preemptively, I said, I'm not going with that group. I want to see the plane, but I don't want to deal with that. So somebody else, friend of mine, got on online. He had a little bit of service and just enough that he couldn't really find the exact GPS coordinates, but he's like, oh, I can see where they put the pin on the map. I'll just drop it in the same place on mine. And then we went there, and it turns out on the map, if you're like a eighth of an inch off on your pin drop, that puts you at the bottom of the 2,000-foot cliff that it's on top of instead of the top of it. And then there's no way to get up it. So we just drove around, saw some wild horses, and kind of goofed off. I led several night runs on the dunes. Turns out they're supposed to be beginner runs, and I didn't really do beginner stuff, but, there were no fatalities.
Listen, man, it's on the dunes. Like, how advanced could it really be, right?
It's not. There's just a couple spots where I pull up, and it's the dunes, so you can drop over the edge of an incredibly steep dune. And as the one beginner guy said, that was the most frightening yet exhilarating thing I've done in my entire life. And, you look down, and as long as the bottom of it has a good, approach angle, it's not just a stab straight into the sand, some gradual angle there. You just dip over it and, just keep it in low gear, and it'll just slide right down. And it's kind of cool. You're kind of out of control a little bit for a minute. But to a beginner, I can see how it'd be incredibly scary. But yeah, it's an easy move. Just kind of a faith move, though.
Well, making the change from the steepest thing you've ever climbed was the pile of scraped snow in the mall to that would be quite a jump.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no on-ramp or off-ramp that's that steep, so it could definitely get scary for you if that's all you've ever done. There was one guy, and I kind of felt sorry for him. He took it like a trooper. He came out with us while we were doing the GPS course, and we kind of found this, there's this road that was more for like a side-by-side or four-wheeler. It was pretty narrow, and it wound through some real thick sagebrush, kind of juniper stuff, and those ATVs and stuff going through there. Every time it made like a 90-degree turn, those banks, they just keep pushing a bank there. And then when you take a rig through there, you have to get a tire up on that bank, and you're just a lot, it feels like a lot of angle. But if you don't want to put the side of your truck down through the sagebrush, that's what you got to do, and it's not a big deal. But I don't know if he wasn't paying attention, or maybe he's new. I don't know. He's a really nice guy, but he got a scratch going through there. I mean, it was a newer 4Runner, and it was into the primer. Like, it wasn't. I was going to message him on Facebook. I added him. I was going to see if he was able to buff that out at all, because it was bad. It was real bad. But he took like champ. He was like, "Oh, I thought I got a scratch." And I looked over, and my eyes popped out, and I'm like, "Oh man, dude, that's almost down to metal." And he was like, So, and if he's happy with it, more power to him, I guess. But,
well, I mean, first of all, what can you do at that point? Second of all, if you're trying to build yourself like an overlanding rig, and really, if he wants to get into this stuff, I mean, that's just the way it's going to be, Yeah,
I mean, scratches are acceptable, Oregon pinstripe or whatever you want to call it, but when you get through the clear coat and through the color to another color, that's a deep scratch. Like I don't know that I have any that are through the paint. And I mean, I've got some good scratches, but I don't think any have made it through to another color,
I really want to make a SpongeBob joke here. There's an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick got put on the Flying Dutchman ship. SpongeBob is driving, and Patrick is like, "You're good, you're good, you're good," as it's scraping across these
the
rocks.
Reef and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I remember that episode.
Yeah, I do. Now I just have him, this image where he's just smashing it in between two big rocks. Yeah. I do love SpongeBob.
I'm glad you and I can laugh about that. I have no idea whether or not our listeners are going to get any of that, but, a little tidbit for you there. So I actually have a question for you. The Christmas Valley area that you guys were in, is that considered a state park? And this might sound like a dumb question, but is there any water out there? Did you have to bring in all your own?
Oh, well, I mean, I brought all my own. Where we were at's all primitive camping, and I don't know if it's considered a state park. It is technically a wildlife, study area, but there's no wildlife there because it's sand in the middle of the desert. Like, there's some coyotes and some antelope and a lot of jackrabbits.
Well, we got to take care of those scorpions, man.
Although the one dude actually did find a scorpion.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was sweet.
Was it in his shoe?
I was going to say, it depends on where you find it.
Well, sure. I mean, in your sock drawer is not going to be great, but
well, or in your sock, even worse.
Sure.
I don't remember. I think it's just standing there, and it just kind of came crawling across in front of him, and then I don't think that he stepped on her or anything. I was like, dude, just get a magazine and, put it in there and slam it real hard, put something heavy on it. In a couple of weeks, you'll have like a dried scorpion and be cool. But not everybody likes dried scorpions, I guess. But, they look good on like cowboy hat band or something.
Well, I do feel like the Oregon, and this is nothing against any of the Oregon overland guys, but I do feel like sometimes the overlanding crowd is a little bit more wine and cheese rather than cowboy steaks over an open fire, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. We actually did grill some steaks over the fire. Another guy did it. And then we also had a taco competition, cook-off. I think there were 7 competitors. I judged all 7 of them. Judged the daylights out of them. It was amazing.
Judged them very hard.
I judged a couple of them twice. Yeah, so it was a huge win for me. Actually, a friend of ours tied for first place. They did a pulled pork with a mango salsa. Amazing taco.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was great. And then some other people, I guess, raised their own rabbit and made a rabbit taco. That was superb.
You should see the faces he's making right now.
Like when we were doing the judging, we just judged it on we didn't compare them against each other. Just said 1 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Where's this on tacos you've eaten in your life? If you went to a taco shop and this taco was there, would you be going back? And how good would it be compared to every other taco you've ate? And that's kind of how we judged it on half. You could go half points, but 1 to 10. So you could do like 6.5 if that's where you felt it was. And they were all good. There was one that I was not a fan of at all. It was a real strong marinade, and he had nothing else on it. It was just meat, which I guess probably traditionally is more accurate, but it was a really strong marinade, which if it had something else on it, could have been real good, but it was just too strong. But then one of the other judges was like, best taco I've had in my life. This one's a 10. And I was like, I thought it was a 2. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you never know people's taste buds, but the 2 people that tied, I mean, it was like 42.5, and we were figuring it up, and we kind of all knew it was going to be one or the other. Mm-hmm. Everybody really liked those 2 particular ones. And they both got the exact score, and we're like, well, what do we do in case of a tiebreaker? And I was like, it's a tie. Like, there's nothing to break. Like, I don't know what else you do.
Well, because it's a blind tasting, right? Like, you guys judged each taco at the time of tasting. It's not like you went back through and said, oh, I liked this one better than this one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, we had a paper, we wrote all the teams on it. Team would come present a taco. We'd all eat it and go, oh, kind of make some notes, talk to each other about it. And then we'd all just go, I put it at a, 8.5 or whatever number. Mm-hmm. And then when we add them all up, that's where they're at. And then like, what do we do for a tiebreaker? And I was like, it's a tie. Unless we have rules for this amateur taco competition, then it's a tie. I don't know what else you do.
Mm-hmm. There isn't anything else you can do.
Yeah. Which I think the prize was kind of 2 things anyway. So they just split it in half and they both gave them a prize. I'm honestly not even sure what it was. I was so full of taco and so happy that as soon as we figured out who won, I found a chair to sit in and,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, I can't wait to hear more about all this stuff. We can hear about the rest of this adventure on the Overlandia podcast, right?
Yeah, it'll be up soon. You'll be able to find it and some pictures on boostboozbbq.com/Overlandia podcast.
I can't wait.
It'll be a good time. All you guys should enjoy it.
Make sure to invite any of your overlanding friends or any of your friends that have the big jacked up trucks that never see off road. Make sure
I'll leave a trail of IPAs to the website. They'll be there.
Shots fired.
Burn.
I don't know which audience member it is, but somebody needs some ice. A little aloe vera.
Yeah, I was going to say a little aloe vera. That sick burn, brah.
All right, so we've talked enough about off-road stuff. I want to talk about some car stuff. I got some news for the folks in the Pacific Northwest. Autocross in Oregon, one of the places that we've always gone is the Portland International Raceway South Paddock, right? It's needed to repave for a while. Here, about a year ago, they did some patching. They said they were going to repave it. Instead, they just did some patching, and it actually made it worse.
I remember that. I was so disappointed because all this excitement, hey, they're repaving, it's going to be done by this time. And I actually went to the following autocross to try out the new pavement, and I was wildly disappointed.
Yeah, it turns out they just installed humps.
No, they made it worse. They're like, hey, we should put speed bumps out here.
Yep, exactly. And people just complained. I don't know that they necessarily complained to PIR. Maybe.
Well, it was like potholes or speed bumps. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think speed bumps better than potholes, but it is debatable.
Yeah, it is debatable, but you know, what can you really do, because you're using their surface? Like they're not catering it to you. That's the paddock. It's not like they built that strictly for autocross and skid pad events. That's a parking lot. So if they needed to patch it, they needed to patch it. However, something new has just happened. Portland International Raceway Facebook page has just posted a couple of photos of equipment out in the South Paddock tearing it up. And they titled it "Out with the Old and In with the New." So
they're not even overland. They're taking out the old and putting new in, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It is going to be all fresh pavement. No, I shouldn't say all fresh pavement, because a year and a half ago we were saying, hey, it's going to be all fresh pavement. It wasn't. But it looks to me like they are tearing that out and they are putting in all flat stuff, because it is very torn up out there.
I'm excited, even though I don't have a car to go autocross with. I honestly, now, hopefully, sooner-ish, I'll have something. By something, I mean an MR2 Spider, but...
yeah, you are I mean, you're really wanting an MR2 Spider.
I do. They're an undervalued car. They're cheap, and my wife had one before we got married. She didn't really race it or anything. She did a couple autocrosses, but I autocrossed it a couple times. Was very impressed, and they're just fun. And then you start looking up all the modifications, kind of the regular stuff. It's all cheap stuff.
But it's all bolt-ons is what you mean.
Well, I mean, the motor swaps, that's kind of what you look for. What's the go-to motor swap, and how much does it cost? And you're looking at a Civic, you're like, well, let's Type R this bad boy. Well, it's $4,000, to get a takeout B18, so, or 3,500. Whereas these, you can pick up I believe it's 2ZZ GE.
Yes,
it's
sir.
a Celica GTS motor.
The early ones had a 9,000 RPM redline.
The motors are actually the same. It's just the ECU that's different.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So yeah, you can, you just pick up an ECU, get any of the motors. And
and the fun fact is the Toyota Matrix that came with the 2ZZ GE never got the different ECU. So they always had that higher redline.
Yeah, no, and like $2,500. That's online. So I'm sure you junkyard shop, you can get one cheaper. I don't know what takeouts are. I actually have been told that the Japanese ones have a slightly higher compression ratio, but I don't know what a takeout motor costs.
I really don't think it'd be that much. I mean, as I'm thinking about it, and I have to wonder if the MR2 manual transmissions are any different than the front wheel drive transmissions from the Celica or the Matrix.
No, all swaps in.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So you can kind of pick and choose some of your gear ratios. So you're going to, with the 2ZZ, you kind of want the 6-speed, but like the Matrix has a little lower gear set in their trans because it's just a heavier car than like the Celica GTS. And I think there's actually the Corolla, was it XRS or something? I mean, there's like 3 cars that you can kind of cherry pick different transmissions out of, all with slightly different gear ratios. And you basically, when you do that motor swap, you got to get some different motor mounts and stuff. And then you got to get a different dipstick and dipstick tube because the motor's it's facing the same direction, but you're looking at it from the opposite direction, basically. But other than that, I mean, it's all just straight bolt in, straight plug and play for the most part. And, in America, those cars are kind of, nobody really builds them for the most part, but like, look up Japanese JC GT300, and there's some just beautiful ones, just works of art.
And when you look it up, make sure that you're not looking for an MR2, you're looking for an MRS. That's kind of the difference. That's the Japanese sport model. And the really unique thing about those cars that I always kind of loved was that each individual body panel was its own panel. So if you wanted to put a wide body on that thing, you weren't trimming the fenders or anything like that. You were just popping off the stock ones and putting on some wider ones from one of the Japanese companies that made them.
Yeah, they don't have quarter panels. They just have rear fenders.
Exactly.
All the body panels just unbolt. It's super convenient for that kind of stuff. There's obviously less aftermarket stuff available, but there's still a fair amount considering it crosses over into so many other cars that Toyota makes. So, you got to kind of pick and choose, and some of the parts are designed for the front wheel drive setup, so you got to beat the firewall in a little bit to get that intake on or whatever. It all works.
Eventually, there is going to be some kind of a following for those, I think, because this has been many, many episodes back, but I remember I was looking at the results from some of the national level autocross, and I realized something. In E-Stock, instead of 92 and 93 Miatas going up against 92 and 93 MR2s, it was 99 through 2004 Miatas going up against the newer body style. What years are those?
I think they came out around 2000 and they went to 2007, something like that.
So that generation MR2, those were now the dominating cars in E-Stock. I found that very interesting. It's like same cars, just the next generation up.
Yeah. Yeah, they're sweet car, then they weigh hardly anything. I mean, my wife's was leather and kind of premium power windows and everything. Those premium packages you could get in those. And I think I scaled it at like 2150. Like I just went, like they're actually lighter than a Miata, surprisingly.
That's kind of shocking.
Yeah. With some power upgrades, they start getting to the Lotus Elise power to weight ratios. I mean, it's an undervalued and kind of underappreciated car, at least in America.
That makes me wonder if first of all, if the Elise has any engine upgrades, and if it does, shouldn't those carry right on over to the MR2, because they both are the Lotus Elise was the 2ZZGE.
Yeah. The Lotus Elise is actually a stroker version. It's a 2.2, as I understand it. Yeah, all those convert over, but I don't know what you can get a junkyard Lotus Elise motor for. It's not $2,500 though, even though essentially it is the same. But you can get a stroker kit, same thing. And if you want to pay $6,500 for the Lotus Elise Roots supercharger, it'll bolt right onto your MR2. It'll say Lotus and stuff on it. It'll be super expensive, but it'll be awesome.
You know what would be a perfect supercharger for that motor is one of the Previa van superchargers, which was kind of, I don't want to say designed per se, but it was spec'd to size that 2.2 liter 5SFE that's in the Previa van. That would probably be perfect for that high revving 1.8 liter.
Could be. I haven't looked into it at all or anything like that, but guys are tuning them with just all motor stuff and getting like over 200 horsepower out of them. When you put that in a 2,000 pound car, that's pretty good. And
that's not just pretty good, that's really good.
And since all the weight is in they're pretty well 50-50 weight balanced, but when you floor it and all that weight transfers to the rear, you have incredible takeoff traction. They're darn quick.
Now, I wonder what kind of knife edge you're walking with those, though, because the thing about the MR2s in the past has always been when they start to rotate going around a corner, there's no recovering. I mean, there is recovering, but you need godlike reflexes.
Well, I drove an S2000, so I think I can handle it, since that's basically what they're known for.
You spun that car out constantly.
Yeah, but I never spun it into anything. With my godlike reflexes, I spun around and away from things.
Okay.
It's like when you're rollerblading downhill, you don't stop. You just crash in a soft place. Like that's, yeah.
So I don't know if I'd call them godlike reflexes. They're not quite potato reflexes.
Yeah. Either way, I think I'll be okay. And of course, massive front sway bar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You gotta have it.
I don't know who makes the go-to sway bar for autocrossing MR2s, but I'm sure some niche company does. And I'm sure it's probably $300 or more. And I'm be one of the first mods I would do.
It's hot MR2 talk. This is actually the perfect segue into Smoking Dealer, Smoking a Doob.
Right.
I sent you what I wanted to talk about.
That's going to be your Smoking Dealer, Smoking a Doob?
Yes, sir.
Well, you
yes,
know where
sir.
I stand on that one already.
I do. I know exactly where you stand on it. It is a 1990 Mazda Miata for $500.
I would say like it's half of a 1990 Mazda Miata. It was
a 1990 Mazda Miata. Yeah, it's missing every single body panel. It's missing the quarter panels. The trunk has been cut off. Really, the only thing that's there is just enough of the subframe to hold the suspension together.
It looks like floor pan and shock towers to me.
Yeah, it's floor pan and shock towers. That's exactly it. And one Kirky drag racing seat. And it's $500. Started up a few times last week, but it's not starting anymore. Needs spark plugs for sure. And by the way, for sure is one word. No means to put any effort into it. Turns over, good healthy motor, healthy trans. But of course we wouldn't know because it doesn't start. That's convenient.
It's convenient, but the nice thing about going to look at a car like that, if you bring a compression tester, it's going to be real easy to get at the spark plugs.
That's true.
There's literally nothing in the way.
That's very true. And I mean, it's a Miata, so I mean, the engine's just right there anyways. Even if it had a hood, it would be very easy to do.
Well, it's a Miata with no hood or fenders.
Right.
You almost walk up to the motor.
The hardest part of compression testing this motor is not getting cut on the exposed sheet metal. But it has a tittle, not in my name. The original owner filled it out. And he has the last 2 bills of sale, which I have a feeling means he's like the third owner twice removed from the original owner. So like the owner signed the title, and then there was a bill of sale, and then there was another bill of sale. And so if you buy it from him, he can give you a third bill of sale. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's really not a big deal. You go in with a signed title, it's signed. I mean, that's...
Yeah. So
as long as the original guy did sign it and it wasn't called in as a stolen car.
Sure, right. If you get there and you look at the title and, well, there is no title, there's just a bill of sale, that would probably mean run away, don't walk away. Windshield pillar can be reinstalled.
I mean, technically, anything can be reinstalled with an, English wheel and determination and believe in yourself. I'm assuming he took it off with a Sawzall, though.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way. If the post is still up, it is still available. So we'll go ahead and post a photo up to this on boostboostbbq.com and, of course, the Facebook page and the Instagram page. But I'm really curious what you guys think, Smoking Dealer, Smoking a Doob. I am on the fence. It feels like a Smoking a Doob to me because I don't know, man. And Coy's making this
deal.
face.
It's a deal. Buy it.
Why is it a deal?
It's $500. That means it doesn't run. He admits it doesn't run. Roll in there. Just make sure that the motor has compression and offer this guy $200. He's going to take it. I guarantee it. No one can drive it away. Show up with a trailer and just be like, I'll give you these $10, $20 bills for this pile of metal, this small pile of metal, and I'm going to leave with it. And that thing is ready for an XO cage and the most fun you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, you keep saying, you got a tube bender, and so it'd be easy to do something with it.
They actually, it's like $100. They make software specific for that bender, so it goes off the exact radius, and it's like, clamp 16 inches away from, Bentech software for a road fat bender.
It's about a 5-hour drive from me.
Call the guy ahead of time, let him know it's 5 hours, and tell him $150. It's a pretty niche market for half a Miata, but at least it's the bottom half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would just be an awesome to just. I bet $300 of tubing, you could XO that thing and throw some like KC lights on that and have more fun than you've ever had in your life. Get one of those little hats, a scarf, and like some World War II tanker goggles.
Yeah.
The most steampunk jacket and hat you have, and just go nuts.
Well, and if you had a little bit of extra money laying around, a plug and play Mega Squirt for $500 and a very small turbocharger, and this thing could just absolutely rip.
It would be insane. And if you really want to get crazy, they make lift kits for those now. And you could buggy that thing easily.
You know what? That's a good point because it's $500. This could be a gambler.
Oh my goodness, dude. Please. I'll pitch in on some of the steel. I'll bring the bender. You'll barbecue up pork, put a pig in the ground. We'll get some guys over. We know some welders. They'll come over for food and we'll go to town on this thing. We'll throw some baby boggers on it. And you'll hear this Miata coming from a mile away. Just boom, 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 boom. No one will expect it.
That would be a lot of fun.
We'll mount a fake gun on top of it or something.
Yeah, now you're talking. All right, you guys. Well, go to the website, go to the Facebook, go to the Instagram, take a look, let us know. Is it a smoking deal, smoking a doob? Basically, this is kind of like Team Coy versus Team Andy here. Let us know what you think about it.
Just let us know if you hate fun or if you don't.
That really is what it comes down to. All right, boss, we are down into it now. So where can people find you?
You can find us on Instagram at the Overlandia Podcast and also at boostboozbbq.com/Overlandia Podcast.
And of course, you can find everything that we're doing here at boostboozbbq.com. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all at boostboozbbq. Make sure you're going out there and checking that out. Throw us a like, throw us a comment. We always love hearing from you guys. Got a comment from a British listener the other day, Ian. Shout out to you, my friend. He said that there are only 2 podcasts he downloads. One's from the BBC and one's from us. So thank you for that, my friend. You guys make sure to hit us up on all of the social media. We love talking to you and we appreciate you guys tuning in. So for Coy, this is Andy, and we will see you next time. Boost, Booze, and Barbecue.